What's going on, my friends? Welcome to episode 102 of the Get Out Podcast, where we talk everything New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, national, and international sports. Hosted by yours truly, Grassani, joined us down by Marcellus, Murdock, Sam Morell, and our special guest, the Bratt Pack. You can listen to the podcast right now on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch the podcast right now on YouTube. Also, show up on social media at GetAGameOnFeed. With all that said, it's time to get your game on. You guys, good news and bad news today. Bad news is we are incredibly short-staffed. I mean, what, 2 to 3 of our co-hosts are missing, Sam?
Well, it's because, Michael's kind of just dead. And then Alex, he has to type up an 11-page essay, apparently.
Woof.
Well, not an 11-page essay. I mean, he has to get an ARP by deadline, so we understand that. Alex is gone. Chris is off doing church camp. And Marcellus, I mean, we don't know where Marcellus is. We're hoping we could get him to join sometime this episode, but he's running late, so. Yes, go ahead, Sam.
Did you just say Chris is doing church camp?
That's what he's doing. That's what he's actually doing. He's actually working working at a church during the summer.
Okay, working. I thought you meant he was one of the participants in the church camp. I was like, the man is 25 years old. Why is he participating in camp?
It's got to learn, bro.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the bad. All right, but anyway, that's the bad news. The good news is that we have a very special guest joining us today. I said before, I would say he's become the face of New Jersey Devils Twitter. I mean, he produces a lot of great content on Twitter. And by far, I would say the biggest Just for Brett fan you will ever meet, the Bratt Pack. Bratt Pack, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm feeling pretty good. And like I said, I really just appreciate the invite.
No problem. No problem. We're glad to have you on, buddy. Glad to have you on. So before we get into Trusty, we're gonna get into this nitty-gritty hockey talk. It's been a while since I did some serious Devils talk on here. So
for sure,
that's the whole reason, right? But before we get to that, talk about the account you've I believe you started this a year ago since you've created this account.
Yeah, it really.
So,
I mean,
talk about it for a bit.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of Devils Twitter, it really hasn't been that long. I actually created it in July of 2021, so I've only had it quite literally. I think I'm coming up on my year anniversary, right about now. I was on Twitter on my personal account, and I saw all these, I don't know, player themed Devils accounts, and I was like, oh, those are cool. And I think I saw, 1 or 2 that the Devils account started interacting with, and I was like, oh, this is fun. This is a community. This is something that people do. So I was like, okay, maybe I should try to join this community. Maybe I should, try to create one of these accounts. And so I did, and I created the Bratt Pack. Like I said, a year ago, July, that is the name I chose. That's the brand, that I'm working with here. And over the past year, the response has been absolutely incredible, especially over the past 3 months or so. I really just started posting I don't know, low quality memes that I made on Safari on my iPhone or Snapchat or something, whatever. And people seem to really like it. So I kept going with it, and I started making jokes and all that good stuff. And I mean, not to toot my own horn here a little bit, but it seems to have taken off a little bit, and people seem to really be responding to it and liking it. And, that's from there, I just kind of ran with it. So, that's just kind of where I found myself. And that's kind of the role I fill. I like to think of myself as kind of a stand-up comedian of Twitter. Like I really just go for jokes and laughs. Like I just try to post whatever I think is funny, you know?
Yeah, I saw all that. I mean, I love the one I mean, we're obviously going to talk about him later in the episode, but I love all the memes about Johnny Gaudreau, him being in different places in New
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah, well, that's like the one thing that like I guess people have really, really enjoyed and responded to is I've tried to make like running bits out of certain things. And the most recent one, like you said, is the Where's Johnny that I've been doing where I just photoshopped Johnny Gaudreau into like different spots around New Jersey and kept posting it. And it just, these bits kind of like take a life of their own and they've been a lot of fun. And I think the fan base has had a lot of fun with them.
Awesome stuff. Just so you guys know, Marcellus has officially joined us. Marcellus, how you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing good. By the way, Marcellus, this is Bratt Pack. I guess today, Bratt Pack. This is Marcellus.
Hello, Marcellus. Nice to meet you, bud.
Nice to meet you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you. I mean, I already said thank you, but thank you for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right. So now let's get into speaking of individual mentioned here, let's talk about the decision, shall we? Let's dive right in here. Let's dive in here. Obviously, the big thing that is going around like New Jersey is of course like free agency, and obviously we'll talk about the signs that they've made up later on. But obviously the big story is Johnny Gaudreau. The Devils were apparently front runners to land him like all off season. There was a lot of steam picking up like towards free agency, and then out of nowhere he signs with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And we were talking about this off the air. Sam and Marcellus, for those of you honestly not as big of hockey fans as me and Bratt Pack are, so we made this analogy. Remember when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors? This is the opposite. This is if Kevin Durant left OKC Thunder went to go join the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah,
but maybe not that strongly. The Blue Jackets, they're like a respectable team, but but Brett Pack, I'm sure you'd agree. If I told you I don't know, 24 hours for free agency that Johnny Gaudreau is going to go to the Blue Jackets, you would probably say, yeah, and picks are going to fly.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the decision that was made, I like the Kevin Durant analogy, and I don't think Johnny Gaudreau may be quite Kevin Durant because I know Kevin Durant is like a top 3 player in consideration, but Johnny Gaudreau is a top 10 player, and this past year he was a top 5 player. Yeah. So he does carry some weight, but imagine leading up to free agency, and I know the NBA deals with this a lot, where you kind of know where players are going to go and what they want, and they're pretty vocal about it. Johnny Gaudreau was the same way, where he said, I want to be near Philly, whether it's the Flyers, the Devils, the Islanders, whoever it may be. I want to be near, close to home. So that is the Durant to the Warriors moment that we thought was going to happen. And then free agency opens, and we get the news that it's between the Devils and the Devils and the Islanders, because the Flyers couldn't afford it, even though he really wanted the Flyers. We go about.
He was a Flyers fan growing up, right?
He was a Flyers fan growing up, and he told all his friends and his family that he wanted to be a Flyer, but with the cap space, they couldn't afford it. So the options were really down to the Devils and the Islanders, and we waited 6 or 7 hours. I think the news broke at about 7 p.m. that the Columbus Blue Jackets swept in, signed him out of nowhere, and signed him for less than what the reported offers were from the Devils and the Islanders. So for NBA terms, imagine Kevin Durant to the Warriors at the max contract, and then imagine at the last moment he signs to the Sacramento Kings for $5 million less than a max contract. That's what we're dealing with here. It makes no sense. The numbers don't make sense. The location doesn't make sense. As a Devils fan, I was blown away by it. It still doesn't make sense to me.
I remember, Loki. I remember I was on during free agency. I was literally refreshing Twitter all day. All day. I literally searched up Devils Gaudreau. I was refreshing it all day, waiting for like some sort of run thing, and then it got to like what was it, 5 or 6 p.m. I'm just like F this night. Then I decided to take a nap, and then I woke up at like 8 p.m. and then I see Johnny Gaudreau goes to the vagina. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, he was, Adam was like not very happy at all. Like he was in disbelief.
I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. I don't know if you heard about this though. Apparently, Bratt Pack, apparently something that could make sense is that Johnny Gaudreau's wife.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this tweet. Apparently, he's a children's hospital nurse. She's a children's hospital nurse in Philadelphia. Apparently, Columbus has like one of the best like children's hospitals in the country called Nationwide Children's Hospital, and it's also it was, and so apparently like maybe like that could play a part of it, where maybe like Johnny Gaudreau went to Columbus thinking like maybe his wife could like get a new job there.
So I did hear that rumor, and to be honest, it sounds to me like fans trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense, because you can say that there's two major hospitals in Ohio, and then you might accept that and you might think, okay, that makes sense. But if you even think about that for more than 5 seconds, you realize that CHOP, Children's Hospital Philadelphia, is equal to or better than those hospitals. And that's where she works right now. So, it sounds like cope to me, where, you can think that she wants to transfer those hospitals, but if you think that she went for the hospital itself, she would have stayed at CHOP. She would have been he would have been a Devil. To me, it sounds like a flimsy excuse.
Yeah, thank you for clearing it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just so stunning that like you look for ways to make something that doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, maybe. Okay, this is going to be a big stretch. Just maybe he went to this team to help his own legacy, saying that he can carry a team by himself. Just maybe he's trying to do that. Is that possible?
That actually is one of the more reasonable takes I've heard, and I heard it last night too. When people are trying to make sense of this, is that he wants to go to a team where he can be the face of it, he can be the superstar, and if they do end up doing anything, it's on his doing. Whereas if he were to join the Devils, it'd really be Jack Hughes's team, and although he'd be probably the top point scorer, he wouldn't be the face of the franchise. And another thing that kind of, Sam, fits into your point is Columbus versus New Jersey or New York. We see it a lot with baseball, where some guys don't like playing in big markets. Some guys don't want to play for the Dodgers. Some guys don't want to play for the Yankees. They want to go play, for the Cincinnati Reds. I know we saw a lot with Sonny Gray. And I think that kind of applies here, where he may have made this choice to get away from the big markets and go play in a place like Columbus, Ohio, where he can be the face of the franchise, but still be in a small market in a sense, where he doesn't have to, respond to the New York media or the Toronto media or something like that. It's very possible. That is like one of the only things that makes sense to me personally.
Also, isn't Calgary like a big media market?
Anywhere in Canada is going to be a big market for hockey.
Yeah, I never really thought. I never really thought of like. Obviously, I know New York and Los Angeles, they're all big artists. I never would have imagined that Calgary would have such a big market. But you make a great point, Bratt Pack, of how like since it's like hockey in Canada, there's obviously going to be a major market. You make a great point.
Yeah, and also that also may be because it's like, for example, we've seen it with a lot of superstars in different sports. They really can't handle big markets. So they rather be at a small market where they can develop themselves or even just play their game without being criticized too much. Because let's be real, when those superstars go to like those small markets, do we really see or cover those superstars a lot? No, we just kind of just say, okay, they're there. We know they're there. That's nice, but we're not just gonna cover them.
Yeah, and like I said, I know you guys are a New York, New Jersey, Philly podcast, and like I said, with Sonny Gray on the Yankees, that is exactly what we saw when he came to the Yankees. He was, a highly touted ace pitcher who was supposed to be even a Cy Young perspective guy. And I mean, am I allowed to curse on this podcast?
You're allowed. We're an explicit podcast, baby.
Okay, so explicit podcast. He shit the bed in New York. He he shit the bed, and you see him go to a place like he went to Cincinnati for the Reds, right?
Yeah, and look, he's doing great now.
And he's been doing great since. And
same thing with Joey Gallo. I guarantee you that when right back, just so you know, I'm a big Yankees fan. I guarantee you that if the Yankees trade Joey Gallo, when he goes to his new team, he's gonna go on a tear. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And it's nothing new. And I know we're using baseball as an example, but it happens in every single sport. I mean, there are guys in football, hockey, baseball, basketball. I mean, and not that this is helping any, because I know he went from Philadelphia to Brooklyn, but look at Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is not fit for a big market. I honestly believe that if he was on, the Memphis Grizzlies, he'd be a much different player. Some guys are just not cut out for it. And a weird part of me kind of respects Johnny Gaudreau for recognizing that first and going to the small market before even getting eaten alive by a big market and making that, choice. But, I still would have seen him like to try.
The only thing I don't really get about that argument, though, just this thing, though, the main team was the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils, I'm sorry, they're a well-known team. New Jersey Devils is not a big market. So that's my only thing. It's like the New Jersey Devils aren't a big market. I get it would still be Jack Hughes' team. It would obviously still be Jack Hughes' team. But the Devils aren't really covered like a New York team like the Rangers or like the Philadelphia Flyers or like any of the Canadian teams, just because,
that is a great point.
Like
that is a great point.
So
It is a great point. And it is a great point, but it's kind of a weird, ever-changing situation where, although it's a very weird balance where Philadelphia and New York rule the market game, and that's no secret, and that's everyone knows that. The Devils are in a spot, where New Jersey itself is not a small market, but they are viewed as a small market team because they're overshadowed by New York and Philadelphia. So what it comes down to is when they're bad and New York and Philadelphia are good, it may as well be as New Jersey's not even there. Totally agree. They could be the tiniest market in the country. However, when New Jersey's good and they're beating the Rangers or they're beating the Flyers, the market is there. We are, in the New York metropolitan area, market wise, where if the attention is there, it's there. It's kind of an all or nothing thing where either we get all of the attention or none of the attention. And right now they've been so bad for so long that they get none of the attention. Totally agree with you. As of right now, they are acting as a small market team. But if they get over that hump, if they're good, if they get those superstars, they have all of the ability to be a big market team. And to make this another NBA analogy, it's kind of like the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets, where Brooklyn has played second fiddle in New York for years and years. And then they get Kevin Durant, they get Kyrie, they get James Harden. And, the New York Knicks are still the story of New York, but the press coverage, the media coverage, it exploded for the Nets when they got those players, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And here's the thing, I agree with that, but like I was actually going to use that analogy to like counteract it, kind of.
Oh, go for it.
Just because here's the thing, the Brooklyn Nets we all agreed they're whooping the Knicks right now. Like,
Right.
Their competition's not even close. However, the New York Knicks are still more popular and well known than the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
And it's just because let's put it like this. I'm just gonna use like the sports term of like the big brother and the little brother. The little brother can beat the big brother in everything. The little brother can beat him in basketball and hockey and all this stuff. But most people are going to remember and be a part of and be friends with the big brother rather than the little brother, even though the little brother's better in everything. That's kind of like when like the New York area and the Philadelphia area compared to New Jersey. Don't get me wrong, New Jersey is not a small market,
Right.
but we're seen as the little brother compared to a giant city like New York City. It's kind of the same thing with Brooklyn and New York Knicks, or even the Los Angeles Clippers and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Clippers are better. The Clippers are better than the Lakers. But a lot more people are going to go to the Lakers rather than the Clippers.
For sure. And, that's absolutely true. The only kind of counterpoint to that is, Lakers above Clippers, Knicks above Nets. However, Clippers and Nets above the Cavaliers any day of the week,
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard someone say, and I'm just being honest, I've never heard someone say, other than LeBron James, I've never heard someone say, I am willingly going to Cleveland.
Exactly. That's exactly the point here. I mean, LeBron is LeBron. He's from Akron. We get that. That's a special case. Taking LeBron completely out of the conversation, we're arguing it. I know we're not arguing, so you know what I mean. But we're arguing Knicks versus Nets when the alternative is the Cavaliers. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's perfect.
It's like if Aaron, it's like, and I know Aaron Judge signed a contract, but let's say if Aaron Judge didn't sign a contract, it's like if Aaron Judge's two teams were like the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, and then all of a sudden he just goes to the Orioles.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's like why would you go to that like trash team?
Well, actually, Orioles are doing low key, Sam. Orioles are actually doing pretty good right now. Would you believe if I told you they're above 500?
The whole AL East is 500 or above.
Yeah.
Damn, that just shows you either how strong or how weak they are. I can't tell you the difference, honestly.
No, I think that shows strong, because to stay 500 or above as a whole division means you're beating other divisions.
Yeah. But anyway, Brad Pack. We've obviously discussed, broke down, we're trying to explain Johnny Gaudreau.
Absolutely.
You're going to Columbus, but obviously it's done. He's in Columbus. Whatever. Let's move on. Let's move on to obviously New Jersey Devils. They pivoted to their plan B, and part of that plan B was sign Andre Palat. And I don't know about you, I really like the signing. Not necessarily for a talent, because I do think the contract they gave him 5 years, $6 million per. I think it's a little much for a player of his caliber. He's a good player, but he's not amazing. He's not amazing. He's nowhere near Johnny Gaudreau, obviously, but I think I love him for the leadership aspect. I remember I saw this on Twitter, how a lot of the players on Devils, they've never experienced winning.
Right.
There's you could call it a losing culture in with the Devils, where they just haven't learned how to win. Andre Palat, he's a two-time Stanley Cup champion. He's been to the Stanley Cup 3 times in a row. Having a guy like that could really teach a lot of the young guys like Jack Hughes, Justin Bratt, Nicky Reacher, really lead these young guys to teach them how to win. I really feel for a leadership aspect is why I love this deal so much.
Yeah, I mean, so some of this makes me laugh, because I know Sam and Marcellus are probably laughing at us right now, thinking that $6 million is an absolute overpay for a player. when, I know I think you guys said you're NBA fans, where a role player who's a sixth man might get 18 million a year. So, I always think it's kind of silly when we're talking about the NHL and we're talking about a couple $1 million being way too much. But to that point,
that's a great point.
I talked to my
it's like we've given $1 million less. It's like, oh my god, that's such a steal, bro. I give him $1 million.
No, listen. I'm not laughing at that just because in baseball, unless you're a superstar, I don't want to hear you getting paid $10 million a year unless you're a superstar in baseball. So and that's the things when people when they say these players are like, oh, the NBA is a very, very bad example when we say role players get paid a lot, because the NBA is a global sport. That's the thing that people don't realize. The NBA is like soccer. It's a global sport. Hockey is mostly just a countrywide sport, but it's not a global sport. So $6 million for a role player, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for Andre Palat, we have a 5-year, $6 million a year, $30 million contract. He's 31 now. It's going to take him till he's 36, 37. Here's the thing about that. A lot of what you said is exactly what they're paying for. He's been to the Stanley Cup 3 times in a row. He's been a pivotal part of that team 3 years in a row, which, is a totally valuable thing. And that's why we're paying him that much. If you look at his season stats, they're not quite as good. He only scored 49 points last year, which puts him 4th on the Devils, which is behind Jack Hughes, ahead of Yegor Sharangovich, which if you're paying a guy $6 million, you want him way in front of Yegor Sharangovich, not just a couple points in front of him. So I don't love the deal in the way of paying for points and the production that we're going to get for the next 5 years. I think it's going to be a bad deal towards the end of it. However, good teams take bad deals. That's what I'll say. It may be a bad deal, but good teams do take on bad deals. And that's one of these unwritten things among Devils fans where we're so obsessed with. We got Nico Hischier for 7.2, I think. We got Jack Hughes for 8. And we're obsessed with this idea that we can get these superstars for these team-friendly deals. And it's not always realistic. And part of the reason we got Nico and Jack for those team-friendly deals is so that we could spend a little more in free agency and get some of those guys who we really need and spend a little more and not be in trouble. And I think that's what we did here. I think we overpaid. I don't think he's worth $6 million, but I think that's okay. I think that we've set the team up in a way where we can overpay. We can, spend $6 million on a guy who's not worth $6 million because it makes our team better and we can afford it. We don't have to panic about it. So I think the contract is not good on its own, but I think for the Devils specifically, it's what we can afford. I think it's going to work out. I would love to see some stability in the lineup. That is what I'm looking for out of this contract. Our big problem is injuries. When Nico goes down, when Jack goes down, we're fucked. And that's all there is to it. So I look at guys like Palat and I look at guys like Holla, who we just added, who, if a guy goes down, they can step into that spot. We haven't had that. In the past few years, if someone goes down, we're just done. That's it. That's all there is to it. So I'm looking at these guys that if someone goes down, they're guys that can step into that spot and hold over until those guys come back. So for that respect, for that insurance, I think this is a good deal. I think as Devils fans, we are going to love Palat for the next 5 years.
I think we will. I think too. Speaking of you already asked about Palat. We obviously acquired him in the Pavel Zacha trade. Just quick thoughts on that trade.
I love that trade. I love it.
The Pavel Zacha experiment is finally over.
The Pavel Zacha experiment is finally over. And that's one of my running bits on Twitter that has done really well for me is hating on Pablo Zacha. And I want to put it out in the air right now. I don't hate Pablo Zacha as much as everyone thinks that I do.
Zacha, I feel like with Pablo Zacha, it's just like he is who he is. He's a bomb six forward. That's who he is. And I always feel like he's one of those players that because like the Generals drafted him so high that because of that and he has like lived up to those expectations that fans like kind of like rack him like maybe a little bit more than he deserves.
Yeah, he's a bottom six forward masquerading as a middle six forward and was drafted to be a top six forward. And I know we have some NBA fans, and I know we're kind of the theme of the show is to translate it into NBA. And what I'll say is imagine a 6th overall pick. So first round, 6th overall being your 6th or 7th man on the team. It's just not feasible. It's not doable. You need your 6th overall pick to be a starter. You need him to be a star. And that's not what Pablo Zacha has been. So I'm glad to get him off the team. I think he could do well. I hope he does well in Boston. I really do.
I do too. I do too. He's reunited with Taylor Hall, so there's that.
And Eric Halla that we traded Zacha for, and the trade was 1-for-1. I love that. I love it. I think it's a great trade. I think Eric Halla gives us the same stability that Palat gives us, where he can play on the second line, he can play on the fourth line. That's okay. We need guys who can do that. We need guys who, when injuries happen, when we need to shuffle the lineup, when we need to move things around, that can adjust, adapt, and can, still exist. And do we need a superstar there? No, we don't. But we need a guy who can at least hold down the fort. And I think that's what we got.
I agree. So we're obviously free agency aside. Obviously, number one, I want to ask you is, number one, do you think the Devils are done? And number two, if you don't think they are, like, what could you see them like making? Like, could you see them like potentially making like obviously missing out on Joe now? Could you see them making like a big time trade for like a big time star work? Like, for example, could you see them like maybe if Patrick Line is now out of like could you see make a trade for him? Could you see maybe make a trade for Matthew Tkachuk or JT Miller or someone like that? Do you think like that's like could be a possibility?
Generally, I want to say the answer is no, because I think Tom Fitzgerald has stuck to a plan to this point. I think his general vision for this team has been to build from within, draft correctly, sign guys on economic team-friendly deals, and to try to I think he's going after a dynasty. I don't think he's trying to win now. I think he's trying to win for the next 5 years, 10 years, beyond. I think he's really trying to get guys on this team that are going to be here for a long time, and we can afford them for a long time. So I don't see him really making any like bold or rash moves. I think Line, I think Tkachuk, I think a lot of those guys would cost a lot in assets that I don't think Fitzgerald is willing to give up. I think Gaudreau, if Gaudreau fell into our laps, that was one thing, but he didn't. And I think it's time to move on from that. And I think, honestly, I don't even think Palat fits his plan. I'm surprised he even did that. So, but beyond that, I really can't see that much more. I just don't see it.
Yeah. I definitely. I definitely have to like understand like I definitely understand like his vision there. Like he's not just thinking. He's thinking like obviously us Devils fans are thinking, oh my god, we haven't made the playoffs in so long. Next year it's like we gotta make the playoffs. We gotta make the playoffs. If we don't make the playoffs, the end of the road. Like Tom Fitzgerald, like he's not thinking that. He's not just thinking next year. He's thinking like long term. Like you said, he wants to make this thing that he wants this team with Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, just right. He's trying to turn like the Jack Hughes Devils into like the next like Martin Brodeur, like Scott Stevens Devils.
Yeah, well, and he wants to make us Colorado East. Look at how the Colorado Avalanche have built their team around Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Mikko Rantanen. That is what we're going for, and I don't see him
Cale Makar.
Well, yeah, Cale Makar too. And I don't see him straying from that vision.
Yeah. There are a series to me. Jack Hughes to Nathan McKinnon. Luke Hughes or Simone, which I'm going to ask you about. I was actually going to ask you about Luke Hughes and Simone, like McCarr, I definitely you referred to him as Carl Reese, and there are actually a lot of similarities there. I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I did want to ask you about the draft. I saw a lot of people on Devils Twitter like freaking out, like when Slafkovsky went number 1 to the Canadians. Then we fall back, we select Simone Eric. I was a little confused by it at first, but the more I think about the more I like this. For one reason, the main reason is that Michelle said in his press conference, like right-handed defensemen, they don't grow on trees. Like right. they don't grow on trees. So you get a guy who could really pair well with like Dougie Hamilton, like for at least like the next 5 years. So the more I think about it, the more I really the more I understand, like I'm selecting some more lyrics like second overall.
Well, the one thing I love about Simone Nemec is I don't think he's going to be on Dougie's side. I think he's going to be on Luke Hughes' side. And
I was thinking the Dougie Hamilton because they're both right-handed defensemen.
Is it, well, so if Hamilton
obviously like Luke Hughes would play with Simone Nemec, and again Dougie Hamilton would play like Siegenthaler or
right.
If Gray's 6th round long term, so we play Gray's like that. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. I mean, so the one thing that really kind of it made me question it at first, but I get it now, is the forward group. I think Tom Fitzgerald has a clear vision for, and I think even though we didn't truly, make a big leap in improving this summer, the goaltending and the defense he locked down. By drafting Nemec, we have Luke Hughes in the pipeline. We got Siegenthaler. We got Hamilton. We let go of Subban. We'll see. I think Ty Smith will be fighting for his spot. Yeah. But I think he's created a situation where we can improve the team with wingers. I get it. But he's locking down our defense and our goalies. And that is the biggest hole we had, last year. I think if you put our same forward group out with the same with the improved defense and the improved goalies, I think we see a much different team. I don't think the forwards needed working.
I completely agree. Sam, let me just rant about this. A lot of people you could easily look at the Devils and say that they were terrible this year. For the most part, at least their forward group was pretty solid. The problem is that their coach. I put it this way, Bratt. I want to see if you like this analogy. How old is Mario Brodeur? Like he's 49. You could literally put him on the ice like right now at his current age, and he would have been able to do worse. That's how bad the goaltending was.
So the one major statistic that I buy into is goals saved above average. And
I've been looking up that statistic. It's really useful. I really like it a lot.
Yeah. So for anyone who's not familiar, the goals saved above average, it evaluates goalies totally in a vacuum. It evaluates them, compared to their defense, compared to their offense. So it removes the doubt of, that goalie had bad defense. It totally isolates them and says, well, this is how much they should have saved even with their defense. So the league average was about +3. You'd think it's about 0, but it was a little above. It was +3. The first in the league, top of the league, was about +30. So 30 goals saved above average.
That was the Rangers, right?
Yeah, I think it was Shesterkin on the Rangers.
Yeah.
So that means he saved 30 goals that he really shouldn't have across the season, like net average. The average goaltender, like I said, saved 3 goals above what he really should have net average. The Devils were in second to last place at -38. They saved 38 less goals than they were expected to, even with the dog shit team that they was put in front of them.
Yeah.
So if you put even league average goaltending in net with the same squad, same forwards, same defense, like even ignoring the fact that we improved anything, we still have a better season. We still have 20 more points in the standings. So I think we run it back this year, a similar forward group, an improved defensive group, and league average goaltending. I think you see a much different team on that ice.
I was going to ask about the goaltending. Another move they made at the draft was selecting they didn't select the brain fart there, but they made a trade for Vitek Vanacek. I really like this move because that Vanacek, he's a guy, like, he's still just 26 years old. He's still like a young goaltender. So I really feel like this is a move where he could really be. I said before, they need to bring in a guy that could be at the very least be a 1B, but could also realistically take the 1A job from Mackenzie Blackwood. That was the type of guy I really want Devils to bring in. I really think they got that in beat to Vanacek.
That honestly, that move kind of underwhelmed me. I was expecting a little more out of it. Tom Fitzgerald before the season made it very clear he wanted 3 guys fighting for 2 jobs. He wanted to create competition. He wanted, 3 goalies, like I said, fighting for 2 goalie spots. So to me, what that meant was bringing in someone who was guaranteed for a 1 and letting 2 guys fight out the 2 spot. Unfortunately, what he did was brought in 3 guys to fight for 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He didn't bring in a clear 1. He didn't bring in, I really wanted to see a clear 1 and then have guys fight for 2. But what he did was brought in 3 to fight for 1 and 2. And I don't want to doubt it yet because we'll see what happens, but I don't love that move. I really think we needed a little more security, and I think we needed a little more safety there. But if Blackwood has a bounce back season, if Vanacek does well, and if Bernier comes back and fights one of them for a spot, it's boom or bust. And I hope it doesn't bust, but I'm really hoping for boom here.
Yeah, same. I was gonna ask you what do you think about the future of Mackenzie Blackwood? Because it's easy to look at a guy like Mackenzie and see how bad he was like this past season and think just give up on him. But it's easy. I said before, it's easy. I said it on Twitter. It's easy to forget just a couple of years ago like how good this guy was. Like I remember the save he made like against the Bruins like last second to like save the game. Hey man, I remember at least the first half of like the COVID short 2020 season where he really was a stud. I remember that game against the Rangers where he was just stopping everything. So I really feel like, and then obviously then COVID hit and then he got hurt. So I really feel like those 2 things have really held Mackenzie Blackwood back. So I personally like, I don't know what you think, Bratt Pack, but I personally really like bring Blackwood back 1 more year and really get a true evaluation on like what he is.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's had really, unfortunately, 2 fluke seasons in a row. And I know that kind of sounds like a cop out. And some people will say, well, you don't get 2 fluke seasons in a row. And I get it. I do. But 1, he had COVID really, really bad. And if you remember, he was unvaccinated at the start of COVID and it hit him hard. He had like really, really severe symptoms for over a month. And it really, really affected him, brought down his game. And then we go into the next year, he busts his heel. His heel was fucked. Again, sorry for language, but
no problem.
but his heel was really not good. And as a goalie, when you're working on your edges, when you're trying to move side to side, your heel matters a lot. And it's kind of underrated in a sense. It's like a NFL running back tearing an ACL almost. So having a busted heel trying to play this year, it really, really hurt him. And if we can get a Mackenzie Blackwood coming back this year with no COVID, no busted heel, healthy, ready to go, I think we see, like I said, a much different result, a much better team on the ice.
Yeah, one more question, then like Marcellus or Sam, I'm gonna open to you if you have any questions here. Like one more question. What do you think about? I think the big takeaway, like from last season, the one real bright side was of course Jack Hughes, and He obviously we all know he lit up like 56 points in 49 games, and I really feel like his breakout really made despite how disappointing last year's season was, Jack Hughes' breakout really was the breakout because now we know we have our franchise guy. We have our franchise player for at least like next day. We have our guy that we could really like build a championship team around.
You know what? You're gonna laugh at me for this, and you deserve to laugh at me for this. But if you look at, and I don't know how much you buy into this, but if you look at the analytics, the real, dig deep numbers, the most valuable player on the Devils team this season was Jesper Bratt. Really? And I get it. I know. But
don't worry. Trust me. I was going to ask you about it later. Trust me.
But seriously, Jack Hughes is a superstar. I'm not taking that away from him. He's a superstar. He's going to score 100 points. He is going to be the face of the league. I have no doubts about that. And I know those are big claims. He is no doubt a bona fide superstar. But if you look at players on the Devils this past year and how they played on certain lines with Jesper Bratt, with Jack Hughes, and without Jesper Bratt and without Jack Hughes, players played better with Jesper Bratt. Players played worse without Jesper Bratt. And I think there's so much that is invaluable about Jesper Bratt. And he scored 75 points this year. He was the team leader in goals. He was the team leader in assists. He was the team leader in points. And it wasn't by mistake. He was the best player on the ice for most of the games he played. And that's not to take anything away from Jack Hughes. It really isn't. I think just career-wise, Jack Hughes is going to be a better player. But you look at the Devils and you think, okay, well, they have a superstar in Jack Hughes moving forward. I'd say you're wrong. I think they have superstars in Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. And I think Nico Hischier is not far behind.
I agree. I was going to ask you, man. I really feel like Nico gets like a lot of hate just because I'm going to sound blasphemous comparing Nico Hischier to Pavel Zacha. Oh my God, now Devil's Twitter is going to come at me for even mentioning through this. He says, but I feel like the comparisons there were, well, Pavel Zacha went 6th overall, like Nico Hischier went 1st overall, and he was drafted ahead of Kyle McCarr. So I really feel like people hate on him. Like some people hate on him more than they should. But we really look at him and how he finished the season. He used to have a point per game pace. He really did finish the season strong, and I really think like similar to how like big of a year just Brad. I think Nico Hischier is gonna have a monster year next year.
So Nico Hischier reminds me of, and give me a moment for this tangent, and I'll turn it over. I know I've been talking way too much, but Nico Hischier reminds me of when I was rushing fraternities in college. When I was rushing a fraternity, they asked me a question. They said, "What makes you a leader?" And the kind of person that I am, I answered the question with, to be honest, what I think leading is, I'm not going to score all the points for a team, but I will get all the assists for a team. I'm not going to be LeBron. I'm not going to be Kevin Durant, but I will be Steve Nash. I will be Jason Kidd. I think that being a team is being a well-rounded player, and I will not score the most points. So if you're looking for a leader that scores the most points, you can pass on me. I get it. But I will get those assists, and I will be the teammate that pushes my teammates over the edge. And personally, I think that's what a leader is. And I relate that back to Nico Hischier. I don't think Nico Hischier is going to be a superstar in the sense that Jack Hughes is going to be a superstar, but I think Nico Hischier is going to push his teammates into a place that they never would have gotten without him. And I know we got some basketball guys in here that can appreciate that analysis or that analogy. I'm sorry. Where Nico Hischier is not going to score 100 points, but he's going to make damn sure that someone else does.
Definitely. Marcel, Sam, we give you like the chance here. If you guys have any questions for Bratt Pack, just let them out now.
Think about my Knicks, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the Knicks. If you guys want to talk Knicks, I'll try to chime in when I can, but the floor is yours.
Yeah. anything hockey related. I was gonna say, which you guys probably don't. But I was just giving you the floor.
The only thing I know about the Knicks is fuck Trae Young.
Fuck Trae Young. Bing bong. That's right.
Bing bong.
That's the
Fuck your
answer I
life.
like.
Fuck Trae Young.
That's the answer
Sam,
I like.
did you have anything? Did you have anything?
That's all right.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I
Yeah.
think that was it from him. No worries.
So yeah, I'm gonna take the last question here, and it's a question that I think it's a question you get a lot, Brad Pack. But I'm gonna ask you the age-old question here: who is the best player in the NHL?
I have been waiting this whole time for you to ask that question, Adam, and I appreciate that question.
Saving the best for last.
Saving the best for last. I usually make this my sign off, but the best player in the NHL, Jesper Bratt is the best player in the NHL.
But in all seriousness, I did want to talk to you about just for Brad for a minute or two here. Obviously he's a free agent. Hopefully they'll be able to work out his contract too. But I just want to talk about this season for Jesper Bratt. Obviously throughout his career he's been like a 30 point per season player. He's always been that type of guy okay, maybe I always view it as okay, maybe he a really solid second line guy. I'm gonna be honest here, Brad Pack. Did you see this kind of play from him? Because he's really, like you said before, he cemented himself as a star on this team. He really has. Did you see this level of kind of offensive explosion for Jesper Bratt?
Yeah, so I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it honest. Anyone who doesn't believe it, I get it. But as a Devils fan growing up, I was a big Patrick Elias fan. Okay. I went to my first game in the year 2000 and we sat in the seats right in front of, in the old Continental Airlines Arena. They used to put the press in the lower section. Now they do the press box up top, but they used to put the press in the lower section and we sat right in front of the press. So the newspapers, the reporters, whatever, and they did the t-shirt toss. They had the cannons out and everything. And my dad was talking to one of the reporters behind us. We were literally the last row before the press section. And one of the reporters said, hey, just so you know, I was 5 years old at the time. They were like, hey, just so you know, your kid is jumping up and down for a t-shirt. They don't send the t-shirts over here. They won't shoot them over here because it's the press area. They're not going to shoot the guns over here because we have computers. We have, we're writing. They don't do it over here. So the reporter handed my dad a program and was like, here, give this to your kid. This will shut him up for a little bit. So my dad gave me a program. I opened it up and I said, fine, I'm going to pick my favorite player. Again, I'm 5 years old. I was like, I'm going to pick my favorite player. I'm just going to open it up and point. Open up the program, pointed at who I thought looked the funniest because he had the least teeth. And it was Patrick Elias, year 2000, straight up. I said, this is my favorite player for the rest of my fanhood. I became the biggest Patrick Elias fan that I knew. I followed him until he retired, but 20, I don't know. I don't even remember, 2012, 2013. After that, obviously there was a bit of a void. I had no favorite player. I went to preseason 2017-18. It was Jesper Bratt's first invite to camp. It was his first preseason. I fell in love, dude. My buddy texted me. He was a ticket rep for the team at the time. He said, dude, watch Jesper Bratt. He's going to make the team. He's going to make the team. Just keep an eye out. So I said, sure, fine, whatever. I watched him. His rookie year, I watched him skate, man. I fell in love. I have been a Jesper Bratt fan since 2017. And the moment that I knew I was going to latch myself onto him after Elias, I bought his jersey. I bought his jersey rookie year, 2017. I wear the same jersey to every game for 5 years now. I knew, I won't say I knew, but I believed in him and I have attached myself to him to that point where his breakout year was one of my favorite things that's ever happened in Devils history because I've loved the way he plays. I love him as a person and I love certain things about him where I won't get into it because we probably don't have time tonight, but I'm a big mental health advocate, and he sees a sports psychologist before every game. He's a big advocate himself for mental health. And there's a lot of things like that about him that I really bought into. And as a rookie, like I said, I attached myself to him. I was like, fuck it. This is my guy. I'm gonna go with it. So for him to blossom this way, I'm not gonna say I called it. I'm not gonna say I knew about it, but I've been along for the ride and I've watched it the whole way and I couldn't be happier about it, man.
Yeah, he really has become like he's gonna be part of like this team's core long term. Like you said before, like I feel like Jack Hughes, like you look at the core with Justin Bratt, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, you got you got Alexander Holtz, who like hopefully will make the team this year. You know, Dawson Mercer, Igor Sharangovich. And then you got Luke Hughes and Simon Noakes in the pipeline. I really feel like not to copy the Sixers phrase here, but I really feel like trust the process is really the mile like with this obviously like they may not be a year yet, but you look at this team like maybe like a couple of years now, like this team really like it's easy to like give up on team. Now I know some Devils fans are like are frustrated with him and understandably so, but to those fans, I would just say like just be patient. Just look at what Thomas Joe is building.
Yeah, I mean, trust the process was the Sixers motto, and Joel Embiid's running over the league now. We'll take it, right?
Exactly. But Bratt Pack, we thank you so much for coming on. It was great to talk, all things Devils and hockey with you. It was a pleasure having you on there. It was a blast.
Absolutely. Hey, dude, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it. And like I said, I've really only been on Devils Twitter for a year now. So the fact that this has gone this far at this point where people are inviting me onto their podcast is not lost on me. I really, really appreciate it. And, I always have time for you, man.
No problem, pleasure of mine. Before you go, I'll just look at where can all listeners find you?
So I really can only be found in one place. I really don't have too much going on. Just at the Bratt Pack 63 on Twitter. I really don't have much more than that. If you just follow me on there, you'll see all the madness. I just really make memes for Twitter, and that's really all it is. We do have we're going to do a Bratt Pack group outing this year with the Devils. I've been talking to their ticketing department. We're going to work it out where we get a section all to ourselves. That's going to be November 12th against Arizona. But I'll leave you with the same sign off that I leave every Twitter space, every podcast, anything that I've invited.
What day is it again?
That'll be Saturday, November 12th. It's Devils against the Arizona Coyotes.
All right. With my new job, they say we work with this, but I'll see if I can make it. Yeah,
that's going to be the Bratt Pack group outing. I mean, anyone that wants to come is welcome. Just do me a favor, DM me if you want to come. Like I said, I'm working with the ticketing department about that. So we're trying to get you guys the cheapest tickets possible if you are interested. But I'll leave you with every sign off that I do for every Twitter space, every podcast.
Go for it, baby. Go for it.
Adam, you know what's coming, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Jesper Bratt,
baby. Let it fly.
Jesper Bratt is the best player in the NHL.
Awesome. But Bratt Pack, we thank you so much for coming on. And again, you're welcome back on anytime. Don't be a stranger, buddy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. Take care, Bratt Pack.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night. All right, that was the Bratt Pack. I mean, awesome to have him on. Like I've been wanting to get like a Devils guest on back on this podcast for a long time, and honestly, I saw like over the past like couple of months, I've really fallen in love with this Twitter content like a lot. And all things that she does also does a lot of great Twitter spaces as well. So definitely got to tune into another one of those. So, but again, great to have him on. Again, great to have him back on the show. But guys, you know what time it is? Marcellus, Sam, you know what time it is?
What?
It's time for the hot take of the episode. So obviously Marcellus went last time, but unfortunately, Marcellus, we are kind of short staffed again. Like, because here's the thing, me and Sam, we already went because of our debate, so our names cannot be on the wheel. So the only three names that could be on the wheel, aside from Chris, the only three names that could be on the wheel are Marcellus, Michael, and Alex. And guess what? Two of those guys are absent. So Marcellus, by process of elimination, guess what that means?
Means my go.
Yep, it's your go again, back to back.
For the hot take?
Yeah, you're going again, back to back, buddy.
What am I gonna do today? Oh, here's a good one. I think the Jets are gonna creep up in the playoff run. I really think they are. And before y'all
try
to clown me, I'll really tell you. First of all, did you guys see the free agency moves that my Jets made?
Mm-hmm. I saw some of them. Yeah. I don't know. I need to get caught up on NFL free agency.
We got one of the best offensive tackles in the game. All right, we added him to the squad. Well, offensive guard, same thing, whatever you want to say. Lakin Tomlinson, right? Got him. We got DJ Reed. So pretty much we made moves to improve defense. We got Jerome Whitehead. We also got CJ Ozema. That's how you say his name? Tight end from the Bengals last year. And that's what I'm saying. So we made some improvements to the roster, I think. I still don't know how I feel about Zach Wilson, but apparently the stuff that he got himself in now. But
did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Sam, did you hear about that?
What happened to Zach Wilson?
Here's the thing.
He got caught messing around with his best friend's mom.
Let's just say apparently Zach Wilson was in a relationship with this girl, and then apparently they split up, and someone was asking the girl, his ex, what happened between them, and she commented that he was apparently sleeping with his best friend's mother.
Oh, because he's into cougars. That's interesting. Wait, Adam. Wait.
What?
Is his best friend on his team?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I thought he just slept with one of his teammates' mothers for a second. I mean, what's it called? Delonte West slept with LeBron's mother, so.
Wow. I mean, some of these professional athletes, they live strange lives. That's all we're gonna say, dude. They live strange lives. That's all we're gonna say.
Wait, I just realized, isn't Zach Wilson 22 or 23?
He's 20. I think he's 22, right?
Yeah, I think she's 22.
Wait, so he's 22, and he slept with someone who I'm guessing is 47.
Well, they didn't mention the mom's age. So, for all we know, she could be in her 30s.
And for all we know, she could be 60.
Good point.
Imagine he slept with a 60-year-old woman.
I'm sorry, Marcellus. This conversation went from a hot take to Zach Wilson sleeping with someone's mother. This hot take got interesting quickly, but
this went from a hot take to a Pornhub episode.
Nah, you're good. But then so going back to what I was saying, then we also got Garrett Wilson, rookie wide receiver. He looks very promising. So all in all, I think we made some moves, quality moves that might surprise some people. I really think. So I think them boys could really sneak in. I don't know what y'all think though.
I mean, is that the end of your hot take, or do you have more to say?
No, that could be. I really want to hear your opinions on it.
Can I go first?
I mean, do you mind if I go first, Sam?
The reason why is because, Adam, I know right now you want to disagree, but I think I can change your mind.
No. Honestly, I feel like you think I'm going to vote one way, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably going to vote the other.
Okay, then go first.
Okay, so honestly, Marcellus, I mean, you said for the Jets, like, could they make the playoffs? Like, I honestly don't think it's that crazy for one reason. That is the man we were just talking about, Zach Wilson. But in all seriousness, if Zach Wilson can take like that next step, you know, and now he has some weapons around him, like I forget who they drafted, but you know the players on the Jets better than I do, but now that he has some weapons around him, he still has Elijah Moore, you know, more, you got better defense, you know. If Zach Wilson could truly like take the next step, like, and let's say like obviously like he's not gonna be better than Josh Allen, but could he be better than Mac Jones? Could he be better too? I don't think that's unrealistic. I was like, if he can outproduce you guys, like the Jets could be like in a position where they could find themselves in the playoffs. So you know what, Marcellus, I'm gonna approve. I'm going to approve this one.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised too. I thought Adam was going to be like, but here's the thing. So I'm going to disapprove because someone. No, yeah, I approve just because here's the thing. If you said they were going to make the playoffs, I would have disapproved. But you're saying basically like they're a dark horse to make the playoffs. I agree with that because they did pick up some very good pieces. Now, do I think the Jets are going to make the playoffs? I'm sorry to say it. No, I don't think so. But I think they are going to put up a very good fight. I think they're going to put up a very, very good fight. And especially if Zach Wilson becomes the player he's supposed to become, then the Jets are going to be in a good spot to make the playoffs, actually. They may be in a good spot to actually, like, have a good run in the playoffs. So yeah, I approve.
All right, so Marcellus, congratulations. Your hot take was approved. And what's your record now? You're now 5-1. You are one behind Sam. You are only one game behind Sam in the standings.
That's a good record to have.
Yeah.
Right now, Michael Jordan 6-0.
You're 6-0. Sam's 6-0. Marcellus is 5-1. Michael's 3-2. I'm 3-2, and Alex 2-3. All right, guys. So we're gonna move on. So, you know what? I was gonna make this like more of a let's take up more of a basic. We haven't talked baseball in a while, but honestly, since you, Marcellus, said you're both big basketball guys, I was gonna talk about this like I was gonna save this for next episode, but you know what? I feel like it's best if we talk about it here. Did you guys hear like this Kyrie story? Did you guys hear this Kyrie story?
What was it?
Apparently, according to I forget. According to Brian Lewis of the New York Post, who covers the Nets,
you don't miss either.
Yeah, like he covers the Nets for New York Post. According to him, he reported that apparently Kyrie Irving, he wrote an article, and here's the headline. You want me to read this headline, guys? Kyrie Irving wants to be in net with or without Kevin Durant. And this is like a report from him. He says like in the article that a source close to Irving said that he intends that that he has never asked for a trade and has every intention of staying with the Nets.
Wow, that's an interesting lie. It's a lie nonetheless, but it's interesting.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like normally, here's the thing. You believe whatever you want to believe, but here's the thing. Brian Lewis, just for record, I've actually met Brian Lewis in person. Like he's a very he's a very like nice guy. He's a very like, good guy, and I would trust that like he wouldn't like post something out of this. Like he's not making something out of his ass with this. He's not like he's not pulling something out of his ass with this. Like so whether or not I believe it whether or not I believe it is another thing. But this is either one of two things, guys, and this is either one of two things. Number one, like said Sam, this is a lie, or number two, that this confirms something that we've always known about with Kyrie Irving. You know what that is? He changes his mind like he changes clothes.
I'm sorry. What the fuck did you just say?
He changes his mind like he changes clothes.
Oh, we know that already. We know that already. I mean, it's like literally, he's like the one girlfriend that asks to go to Olive Garden. You get to Olive Garden, and then she says, "No, I actually want to go to Chili's." Like.
And then when she gets Chili's, she's like, "No, I want to go back to Olive Garden." And then she says,
bitch,
"I want to go to Outbacks."
It's like, bitch, shut the fuck up and put a breadstick in your mouth and enjoy. Thank you.
I mean, but yeah, in this whole like net saga with Kevin Durant like wanting out, like apparently the odds are shifting like to the point where Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving may actually like at least start Cincinnati and Brooklyn. And I really feel like in terms of like Kevin Durant, obviously in the beginning he may have requested a trade, but I was listening to like the K show and they brought this up like now with DeAndre Ayton like getting that max at like who's the team that offered the Hornets?
No, it was the Indiana Pacers.
Oh, it was the Pacers.
Aiden.
It was the Pacers, and like the Suns smashed it, right? The Suns smashed it.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Ayton can't be traded to the Nets unless they move Simmons. So that ultimately eliminates like Phoenix from any sort of like trade discussions like with the Nets, unless they're somehow willing to trade Devin Booker. So if you're Kevin,
what's it called? No, it can. In my opinion, a good trade would be DeAndre Ayton for Ben Simmons.
I meant I'm saying specifically for Kevin Durant.
Oh, I mean, you could do DeAndre Ayton for Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant. You just give Kevin Durant for free.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, though, if you're going to trade Ben Simmons for, like, DeAndre Ayton, that way I would almost just, if I'm moving Kevin Durant, I would pretty much, at that point, I would pretty much just demand Devin Booker. At that point. But I feel like if you're Kevin Durant and you're looking at this, and you're looking at this, like where, I want to ask you this, Sam, like, where could Kevin Durant go where after a team like trades like a haul for him, where could he go that would provide like a better situation for him than what the Nets have right now? Because like let's say for example like the Heat. Let's say for example the Heat. Like he gets traded to the Heat, they're gonna have to give up passes. Or any other team that they go to, like they're gonna have to give up passes. So Kevin Durant, do you think like I can either get traded there, or I could like run it back like with the Nets and you like get Kyrie Irving, you get Ben Simmons, and you have a healthy Joe Harris. You see what you can get out of Seth Curry, you see what you can get out of Patty Mills. Like maybe now Kevin Durant like could be thinking like maybe my best chance like to win the championship is in fact in Brooklyn.
Or maybe he thinks that he can get traded to Golden State. and team back up with Steph, Clay, Draymond, and now Andrew Wiggins, because that's been floating around a lot.
Yeah, I don't think. Just so you know, I don't think that trade is not. Because remember, like at the end of the day, the Nets have the final say in this. They can, if Kevin Durant says I'm going to sit out, they can easily say, "Oh, okay, sit out. We don't care. You got 4 years left on your deal. Sit out."
I mean, are you really gonna be fine with him sitting out?
If I don't get the deal I'm looking for, then yeah.
Because here's the thing. For the Nets, if they don't win a championship, you guys are screwed. That's the point.
That is true.
The Nets can't just make the playoffs. They have to win a championship.
Exactly. Yeah, obviously, if they do run it back, obviously it would be like championship or bust us. But I feel like Kevin Durant maybe actually thinking what I'm thinking. Like it's like we're already looking at this team is thinking and thinking like, oh, they're gonna blow it up. Like it can't work. I'm just saying, can I see them play first? Like, can I at least see Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant on the court together? Can I at least see them play?
I mean, we kind of did. It was a disaster.
This is without Ben Simmons, though. You're forgetting. This is without Ben Simmons. We haven't seen all three of them on the court. The same thing happened with James Harden. How often do all three of them stay on the court?
Adam.
It's like I'm a Nets fan. Can I see my star players on the court together for the love of holy moly?
No, not really. Just because the last time we saw Ben Simmons, he was as effective as James Harden with a pulled hamstring. And James Harden literally didn't do anything.
When was the last time we saw? The last time we saw Ben Simmons was in that playoffs, right?
Last time we saw Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant choked.
So that was the last time. That was the last time. Ever since then, Ben Simmons has fallen off the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I just, as a Nets fan right now, I stand by what I said before. Right now, the Nets it's reported that they haven't gotten the offer that they were looking for Kevin Durant. So. I said what I support. Unless you get that offer, I think you tell Kevin Durant, suck it up. You're not getting traded. So that's ultimately what I would tell him. Hey Marcellus, you can go now if you want.
I don't know. I just felt like I knew they weren't leaving the whole time.
You knew?
I just know it. Yeah, I just know it because I think I said this on the last episode, but I really think that KD was just using that trade excuse to create leverage for Kyrie because I don't really think dude wanted out. I mean, if you saw the circumstances, I mean, he signed that extension right there for 4 years. So that right there ain't easy to just get rid of. You know what I mean? That's number one. Number two, nobody was really gonna want to pay the price for him, for being real. So I don't know. I just felt like cap to me, honestly. And I kind of knew that Kyrie was gonna come back. But they didn't really see them leaving, especially the way after they got knocked out. And I just felt like they got to run it back. And we didn't even see Ben play either yet with them. So, you never know how that's going to go. So, that's just what I thought.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Agree. A lot of people, I heard them, again, I'm wrestling the case show again. A lot of people are thinking that maybe, Kevin Durant requested a trade was, maybe an overreaction on his part. Or maybe Kevin Durant's thinking, oh my God, you're not going to pay my boy Kyrie. That's it. I want out. And then fast forward 2 weeks later, he's looking at it and saying obviously, like if I get traded somewhere, like am I really gonna have a better chance to championship like that? When that maybe trade question trade like wasn't like so bad. Yeah. So for all we know, like the as I said, for the best case scenario for the Nets is that this becomes like a 2007 Kobe, where as you if you guys remember, Kobe requested a trade and then they traded him, and then boom, they win two championships, and that's ultimately like what a Nets fan like is ultimately a dream right now. But ultimately, like we'll have to see what happens. I just really I will say though I will say though about the Nets, and I think you guys will agree. They provide no shortage of stuff to talk about on this podcast. You guys would agree there, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I agree with that.
All right. Before we get to our bets, guys, we also got to talk about this one story. That's why I guess who this individual like this next story is focused on. Again, we're sticking with basketball, so that's the first hint.
Kevin Durant.
Kyrie or Kevin Durant.
Nope, we're moving on from Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Talk about someone else, and the New York Knicks potentially being in on this individual.
Jalen Brunson.
Nope. You guys haven't heard the reports?
Donovan Mitchell.
Bingo! So, according to Agent Wojnarowski, it was reported. I remember it was reported. Michael, our good friend Michael, actually said on the show that that according to the Jazz assistant coach, that Kevin Durant, not Kevin Durant, the Jazz weren't willing to deal Donovan Mitchell, but according to Agent Wojnarowski, like their mindset has changed and that they have begun to at least listen to offers for Donovan Mitchell, and the Knicks right now are there are apparently discussions there where apparently there are discussions that could like send Donovan Mitchell to New York. So
For who?
I mean, that's where we don't know who. We don't know who. The trade's nowhere near official yet. I mean, I think mostly could the trade. There's no the deal's nowhere close to done. Like there's nothing like being worked out this way. But the Jazz are at least willing to listen to offers on Donovan Mitchell. And here's the thing: like you look at the deal, like Rudy Gobert got and how much Minnesota had to give up. I think I think most of us can agree. Donovan Mitchell, like we would take Donovan Mitchell from Rudy Gobert, right? So Donovan Mitchell's gonna demand even bigger of a return than Rudy Gobert. So I want to ask you, Marcellus, you're the Knicks fan here. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I say yeah. I say come on, let's do it. And especially the fact that I was reading up on it said we wouldn't have to give up RJ either. So, you know, I mean, if we got 8 first-round picks. I mean, that's the whole point of getting all these picks. You want to flip it to get a superstar.
Yeah, I feel like the one piece that the Knicks wouldn't be willing to move would be RJ Barrett. I really like if this came down to like just like draft capital, and let's say you move like what the max you can obviously the maximum picks you can allow is or like so you send like let's say you send let's say you send Utah 4 first-round picks. So you can't offer more than that. Let's say you add and then you add in like a pick swap or two, and then you send them like Julius Randle, you know, Obi Toppin, you know, Cam Reddish, like I don't know what you get from him. Maybe you throw Kevin Knox in there. They're like I really feel like I really feel like a deal could be done there. I don't think it's necessarily out of the question.
Yeah,
I should feel like I should feel like RJ Barrett is like the one guy where I really feel like the Knicks like would be willing to go. I understand because he is like I would say franchise player, but he's gonna be he's the one guy where we look at and say, okay, he could really be like a major part of this long term core.
I think so. I love RJ too.
But here's the thing though. Here's the thing though. The Utah Jazz, they're gonna be asking for RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett and a boatload of draft picks is gonna be their asking price. Now, do they come down to asking price a little? Maybe, but but maybe, and maybe the two sides get a deal done. But I really feel like I really feel like the Knicks, if somehow you can get this done without including RJ Barrett, I think you have to do this deal because what are the first round picks going to become? Really, what are the first round picks going to become? Like the Knicks have proven, honestly, guys, that they can't draft for shit. So, I mean, with the exception of RJ Barrett, RJ Barrett's the exception, not the rule. We all know the Knicks. Lottery luck doesn't go their way, and they can't draft in the later rounds to save their lives. So why not package all your picks and go get go get a proven star? Why not get a proven star to pair with RJ Barrett, and then between those two guys, like you could then maybe recruit the next disgruntled superstar. Maybe you guys could recruit the next superstar that hits free agency. Maybe if you're gonna kill me for this, Sam, but maybe if Zion hits free agency in a couple of years. Maybe if I mean, this is probably bad. Maybe this is unlikely, but maybe if Giannis hits free agency, maybe if Kawhi or another one of these guys hits free agency, the Knicks could potentially be a landing spot for a superstar player. Then you have a trio of that superstar, RJ Barrett, and Donovan Mitchell. So I really feel like if you're a Knicks Marcellus, anything except RJ Barrett should be on the table for getting a deal done.
I hope we can get something done.
I mean, I would also try to keep Obi Toppin because Obi Toppin's very good.
Yeah, here's the thing though, if Obi Toppin is the difference between that is the difference between getting damage and not getting damage, you have to do it.
I think so. No question about it.
It's not because remember, again, using the Gobert trade as an example, Donovan Mitchell ain't gonna come cheap.
Definitely not. I don't think so either. I mean, he shouldn't. He was an all-star. It's definitely the type of caliber player we need too.
Yeah, definitely. Since you want to have any thoughts here? I mean, you said you were already retired Knicks fan here, so I definitely wanted to give your thoughts. You get your thoughts in.
Said me?
Did he leave?
You said me?
No, did Sam leave?
Yeah, Sam left. I don't know what happened.
Well, this is awkward. So,
was Sam used to be a Knicks fan?
He said he was, but then he said he renounced his Knicks fandom and he became. But he said he let his Knicks fan to rest. I have no idea what kind of fan Sam is. First, he says he's a Pelicans fan, but then he says he's a Giannis fan. They say he's a Knicks fan. He's all over the place with this fandom. I don't even really know.
Should have stayed with the Knicks, man. I don't know why he did that.
But I mean, but like I was saying, I mean Sam had to leave us for a second here. But like I was saying, Marcellus, I really feel like I just feel like one thing that really maybe hesitant that maybe a deal might not get done is we said before maybe RJ Barrett could be off limits. The Jazz could easily say okay, unless you're dealing with RJ Barrett, we're not we're not unless he deals RJ Barrett and like every draft pick, going, man, like we're not trading away Donovan Mitchell. They never remember the report never said that that the Jazz were shopping Donovan Mitchell. That all they said was stay with the Stars, and unless they get blown away, like maybe they won't trade off Mitchell. So I would ask you this. Like, let's say it also does come out of that, and the Jazz demand RJ Barrett. What do you do?
I don't know if I could be a fan, man. I just love the idea of us having Brunson, RJ, all of them guys.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So you would not trade RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell, right?
If we can get him without doing it, and they already did say that they don't necessarily want him because of his contract. So, I mean, that's good right there.
Wait. The Jazz said that?
Yeah, apparently the Jazz said they don't want RJ Barrett's contract. So,
really, that's weird. That's weird.
Well, they're rebuilding, so they really just want picks and young players. And I mean, this isn't new for Danny Ainge. He's rebuilt, and you see what he's done in Boston before. So it's not like he can't turn around.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Ainge, like he's always been great at rebuilding. That's the one thing like he was really known for. I remember how he fleeced like Brooklyn Nets, but we're not going to talk about that.
I mean, like I said, if you can get him without,
So what you're saying is, if you get him without including RJ Barrett, you do it. But if ultimately if point comes says you had to include RJ Barrett, you wouldn't do it, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so we're in agreement there. We're in agreement there. I mean, but I actually feel like with the Knicks, and this is something that I mean, we just had Bratt back on. This is something that I could mention, but it's so such with the Devils. Like, you can only use the term like rebuilding for so long.
Yeah.
It's like the Knicks have been losing for what, 20 years now. It's time to start to go for it here and really bring some excitement, back to Madison, bring some excitement, back to Madison Square Garden. Because Marcellus, when was the last time this team was honestly truly competitive? And no, the second round exit to the Pacers doesn't count.
When Melo was there, 2013.
Even then, when Melo was there, they what happened? They made the playoffs once. They got bounced in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there isn't really.
So yeah, it's been
much success on our side. So I think that's why we're definitely overdue.
So yeah, it's definitely been really, really rough for It's definitely been really, really rough times for Knicks fans. So landing a guy like Donovan Mitchell would ultimately would really bring some excitement back to the Garden. So that's another reason why, if you're a Knicks fan, hopefully you're really for a deal to get done.
I would love to wake up tomorrow and see that notification on my phone.
Oh my! What would you do if you saw a notification on your phone? What would you do?
I wouldn't clock into work. I'd call out.
You call out of work?
Call out of work.
I'm sure your bosses wouldn't blame you.
I'm calling out of work.
I'm sure your boss. I'm sure this would be the phone call. Hey, boss, call out of work, and you'd be like, okay, why? I'm a Knicks fan. They acquired Donovan Mitchell. I'm like, okay, understandable. Have a nice day off. Your bosses wouldn't blame you at all for that.
I don't think they would.
What do you think Michael would do? What do you think Michael would do if they landed Donovan Mitchell?
I think Mike would love it too.
You both would. I have an idea. I have an idea. You both would call out of work and then go to a strip club wearing Knicks gear.
you know, Mike definitely would.
That's how you would celebrate. All right, so unfortunately, Sam left to go up his mother. Wait, Sam, you back?
I'm here. I'm just
All right,
waiting.
just in time. We were just about to move on. Just really quick here. Do you have any thoughts on like the rules of Donovan Mitchell potentially getting traded? And do you think the Knicks should pursue a trade?
If Donovan, okay, as long as they don't give up RJ Barrett, I think the Knicks should go for Donovan Mitchell. I think the ideal trade though would be get rid of Julius Randle, get rid of Cam Reddish.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of those two.
That's the it. You're not going to agree. Moving Marcellus, since we're all going to agree. If I would include RJ Barrett, but I would include pretty much anyone and anything else.
I wouldn't. No matter what. If you have to trade RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell, don't do it. They're basically the same player. Don't do it.
Yeah. Thomas, what you? Sorry, I can't really hear you. Should I repeat that, Sam?
I said, don't trade RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell. They are basically the same player.
Okay, yeah, I agree there. I agree there. I agree there. I agree there. So that I agree. I wouldn't trade RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell, but I would trade pretty much anyone ever else because they need the guard. I like if you. I said for example, if you could bring in like a star like Donovan Mitchell, like compared to RJ Barrett, maybe like a couple years down the road, like let's say like maybe like or a Giannis or like a Luka Doncic or a Jokic or whomever, maybe one of those guys is free agent, you could potentially like be serious for him. I think if you're a Knicks, that has to be like your plan.
All right. I'm sorry to break the Knicks' hearts. They're not getting anyone like that.
Yeah.
But someone like a Joel Embiid, maybe.
Yeah.
But you're not. I'm sorry. You're not getting a Giannis. You're not getting a Luka.
I'm not saying Giannis. I'm not saying Giannis Jokic, but what I'm saying is a player of that caliber is basically what I'm saying.
I think the best that would come would maybe be
Yeah.
like a Jaylen Brown, which is still very good, but like it's like you're not going to get like the mega stars just because New York is like really popular. That's the problem. No star wants to have that much pressure on them.
Yeah. They're saying though, if a star looked at them, because you could say that, but at the same time, like that's been never about the Knicks in the past. But if a star, because that's the thing, the Knicks back then, like they didn't have anybody to support them. But the stars would look at the Knicks and say, like, "Yo, I'm gonna have all this media pressure. I have a bunch of like, I don't have like really any quality players playing at me. Me this time around, a star could look at the Knicks and say, ooh, like yeah, there's pressure, but I could like have a chance to play Donovan Mitchell and RJ Barrett. You're telling me a star wouldn't go for that wouldn't be, at least be a consideration?
Well, I mean, Portland had Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Yusuf Nurkic when Yusuf Nurkic was good. Did any star go to Portland? Like, just because you have stars, that really doesn't mean a whole lot. Like, you have to have a very good cultural experience as well.
I agree. I agree. I think you need both. In the NBA, you need both culture and you need both stars. Like, look at the Warriors. Yes, they have stars, but they also have they have really good culture in place too. Look at the Bucks. They have you also have Giannis, and you have I mean, would you consider Chris Middleton a star?
Yeah, all-star, an all-star.
Yes, yeah, all-star. So you have those two guys. With who also I mentioned the Warriors for the Raptors. You had Kawhi. So you need a combination of both. And the Knicks, like, if they have like Donovan and Archer and they recruit a superstar, they could potentially build like something like that. So if you're a Knicks, that has to be your plan. All right, guys, it's late, so I'm sure everyone's dying to go to bed. So, you guys, we're gonna wrap up this episode with how we wrap up every single episode. You guys know how we wrap up every episode?
Money line.
That's of the episode. So, really quick recap. I forgot. I forgot to do the point total. So, but I do have I forgot to do the point totals, but I do know how everyone's best results ended up.
I think I'm the only one who won.
Guess what? Well, guess what? I lost mine. I had the Angels over the Astros on my line. And here's the thing. Angels beat the Astros, but I also picked the under and the game to be over, and that screwed me. So I'm mad about that. So I lost again. I've lost by what? I've lost my fourth straight bet, and I've lost like fourth straight bet, and my fifth out of my last six. Let me see here. How my losing streak is. In my last 10 bets, I am 2-8. No, not the last 10 bets. Not the last 10 bets. That was a mistake.
So that's why I lost that one bet when I went with you.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, 4 loss, 5 loss, 6 loss, 7 loss. In my last 9 bets, I am 2-9, 2-7. In my last 9 bets, I am 2-7. Not looking good for me. Alex had Dodgers, Cardinals, Padres, Rockies, Rays, Red Sox. I believe the Cardinals beat the Dodgers, so that wrecked his parlay. I mean, I'll have to double check. Let me check here. You guys could tell I've been very busy, so it's been kind of hard for me to keep up with betting. Let me see here. Dodgers beat the Cardinals, but the Rockies beat the Padres, so that wrecked his parlay. Sam, you had the Yankees over the Reds, and guess what? It was the first game of this. It was the first game of the series where the Yankees bullpen absolutely blew it. So guess what, Sam? You lost that bet.
Oh, that's
and
great.
Michael had the Yankees over the Reds and Braves over the Mets and Sky over the Dream. So I forgot. I have to check up the NBA score later on, but that was his bet. But 2 people won. Chris had the Grizzlies over the Nets. My line, he won his bet. He added 10 points, and Marcellus had the Mets over the Braves. He won his bet. He added 10.08 points. So I'm probably gonna make this up. I'm probably just gonna make this up on the fly here, but give you update on the standings. Marcellus, you are still a ringer. You're in first place, 13-13 record. 100 more than 161 points for I believe you're second in points for 9 stars. Michael's in remains second place. He is Mike's in second place. He's 11-15 for and he's 4th in points for 6 stars. 6 stars, I believe.
No, I'm in second. I have 8 stars. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. You're in second place. You know what? I'm giving up here because I haven't officially updated. If you guys want updates on the standings, go look on our Twitter page. Go look on our Instagram page. I'm not gonna do all the math in my head. All right, so I mean, we do have Michaels and Sam and not Sam's Alex's bets here. Let me just round off really quickly. He's taking the Yankees on my line and the Sky on the money line. He's taking the Sky on my line and the Sun on the money line. So he's taking a 3-leg parlay and sorry. I keep confusing Alex and Sam. What the fuck?
I'm Hispanic. He is white. Get a difference, please. Thank you.
All right. Alex's bet is Braves and Blue Jays on my line. All right. I honestly have no idea what I'm going to take for my bet. So.
I already know who I'm going to take. Yankees money line.
You're just riding with the Yankees again on the money line.
I'm gonna ride with the Yankees all the way through now.
You're gonna ride them all the way. Honestly, here's the thing. Yeah, honestly, I don't blame you because here's the thing. With the sports Instagram of the four major sports like baseball, zero and active, you gotta get creative a little, Sam. You gotta have some creativity.
Yeah, Adam. Adam, you have creativity. How's that working for you?
Good point. But yeah, for my bet, what am I gonna take here? All right. You know what? I'm gonna do a parlay. I'm gonna do a parlay here. I'm gonna take the Yankees on the money line on Sunday against the Red Sox. That's because I'm doing it Sunday because Garrett Cole's on that one against the corpse of Chris Sale. So, did you guys see that Chris Sale video, by the way? He was making a minor league rehab start and he stunk and he basically destroyed the Red Sox minor league locker room. Yeah, with that aside, I'm taking the Yankees over Yankees over Red Sox on Sunday, and I have to make this one because I want to make a summer league bet on Saturday. I've got the Nets over the Celtics. So that's my bet. That's my parlay. All right, Sam, you're up. Do you have anything else, or is it just Yankees money line?
It's just Yankees money line.
And what game are you doing that for?
Whatever game they win.
What?
Whichever one they win.
Whichever one they win. Sorry, Sam, I'm going to have to take a specific game. Are you taking it on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
Who are they versing?
The person, the Red Sox. I picked the one on Sunday because Garrett Cole's starting that one.
Okay, I'll take the one on Sunday too.
Okay.
Actually, no. I'll take the one on Friday because you're going to lose the one on Sunday.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, Mr. Ringleader, last up. Go ahead.
I'm gonna take the Mets money line because those are my boys, of course.
Shocker.
My parlay. I'm gonna take. What else am I gonna take? You said that's a shocker. My boy's gonna win, man. We look good right now. But I'm gonna also take. What else am I gonna take? I'm gonna take Dodgers 1.5 over the Angels, and I'm gonna take Brandon Woodruff on the mount. I'm gonna take Brewers money line over Giants. That's my parlay.
Gotcha. All right, guys. That's all for our bets, and that's all for this episode. So I kind of teased it last episode that I was gonna be doing a series starting Sunday. that was going to be doing Sunday. It turns out I actually won't be doing it Sunday because the thing I'm doing actually doesn't start until after that. So it's not going to be it's not going to be this upcoming episode. The episode's going to be going out Monday, but as you guys know, we recorded the night before. But you guys want? But I said I did say I would announce it this episode, so I feel dirty if I did keep my word. So. Guys, you want to know my weekly segment that I'm going to be starting doing not next episode, but the episode after that? You guys want to know?
What is it?
I am going to be reviewing, episode by episode, the Derek Jeter documentary, The Captain.
That came out already?
No, it's the first episode will begin July 18th.
That should be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one. You guys know what it's about. You guys know what it basically is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys remember The Last Dance?
Mm-hmm.
It's that, but for the Derek Jeter Yankees.
That's gonna be really good.
It's gonna be good. And I can't wait to review it with you guys. It should be fun. I wonder, the Michael Jordan, and I took that personally name. Do you think we're gonna get any sort of names like from this documentary? I'm sure we're gonna get at least one.
Yeah, we're gonna get one.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys heard but you guys remember Jeter and A-Rod that they kind of had like a similar beef, like they kind of like had a beef like similar to like the Kobe and Shaq beef. That apparently like during their time they what they were like they did not get along. They really both of them are not right. They both really opened up in terms of like what went wrong. So it's really gonna be like a great insight into that. So yeah, the Derek Jeter documentary, The Captain, I cannot wait for that. You guys know how big of a Derek Jeter fan I am, and I really look forward to really going behind the scenes, into really like probably the greatest dynasty of my childhood. Really, it's really, even though I was too young to see it. It's still, Derek Jeter is always so such a nice to my heart, and I really just can't wait for that documentary. Guys, you have any final thoughts? We're not getting any cringy puns from Marcellus to Sam to end the show. God damn it.
We need Mike to send us off.
We need a cringy pun from Michael or Stan to send us off, but unfortunately one of them's absent. Sam, are we getting anything?
No.
That's the cringy pun. No. That's the cringy pun. That's how we say ourselves no. So we're gonna have to end the show with that. That's it. Episode 102 of the Game Podcast. Yours truly, I'm Grassani, Marcellus, Murdock, Sam Morell, and our special guest, the Bratt Pack. Thank you, Kern. Be sure to leave a like and follow, subscribe to the podcast. Also, enjoy the process just on YouTube or reach out to us on social media. We feature what you have to say and feature up to our favorite friends. Those who Jesus just stands. If you imagine a world, believe in it, and dive in. See you next time, and until then, stay lit.